Alright, I'm making this video on a Galaxy S4 screen replacement. This is actually some warranty work. The customer came in for a screen replacement about a week and a half ago, and everything was fine for a couple of days, and then he had an intermittent problem where the touch screen wouldn't work. He'd touch it and swipe it, and it wouldn't let him into his phone. He brought it back. I assumed it was probably the Digitizer connector, and I cleaned it real good, scrubbed it real good, put it back together, and it worked. And I couldn't get it to act up. It was letting me in every time. So I sent him home without charge, of course. And after a few days, it started acting up again. He wasn't able to get into it on occasion. And he made a video and emailed it to me, and I saw that it was intermittent. And here we go. So it's not letting me in now. So obviously there's something wrong. And in his video, he pinched the phone in a couple of different places, and like right there, I don't know, no, it's still not letting me in. But when he pinched it in the area where the Digitizer connector is, and it started working after that. So I'm gonna go in there and look again. It probably needs a new Digitizer. This one's faulty. I can't get it to work, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. The backs of these are really simple to get off. You can use your fingernail. Since I can't turn it off, first thing I'll do is take the battery out. And all the different screws. It's good to organize them with some sort of magnet. This is the size of a business card. It's perfect. Get it at Office Depot or Staples. Also a good idea to organize your screws. This phone doesn't matter so much, all these on the back are the same size, but for iPhones you definitely need to have them organized so you know how they go back in the phone. If you put the wrong screw in the wrong place, it'll hurt the logic board, and you'll have a much bigger repair. It needs micro soldering and traces and all that sort of thing, so you don't want to do that. So I line them up on my magnet in the shape of the phone. Helps me keep track of where they are, where they go. I usually start with my fingernail to get the frame off and start popping the clips all the way around. And it comes off. Alright, let's disconnect all the connectors. Get this logic board out of here. Alright, once those are all done, there's one screw, this black one over in this corner, and since it's a different color, it's easy not to get it mixed up, so you can drop it anywhere. And this antenna here is a coaxial cable. It's tricky. You got to lift straight up. If you pull sideways in one way or the other, you could break the connector off of the logic board, and again have another micro soldering job to do. Now it's just a matter of not getting tangled with the cables when I pull out. So now that that's out, I'll have to heat up the front. I'm going to try and get this glass off without cracking it. I may be able to send it back to my vendor and get a refund on that, so I'm going to attempt to get it off without cracking it. Of course, if I crack it, they're not going to take it back. Usually though, if there's been a glass replaced on it before, it's easier to get off the second time. The factory glass is much harder to get off the first time it's repaired. Lots of shards get flung around on that repair. You want it almost too hot to touch, but it's about right. I always want to start at the top. The home button and everything are down at the bottom, and they're glued to the inside of the glass. Gotta go slow. Make sure to guide the cable through the hole so you don't tear it. Some more heat. You can feel it breaking free. So now I'm trying to pry the menu and the back buttons up off the glass so that I don't tear that flex cable, and leave that with the phone and the home button. There we go. So that was a pretty successful removal. I'm sure that LCD is still in good shape, so I may be able to send that back. But you can see on the back here where I added this captain's tape to help hold that digitizer. This little plug right here, that little thing flips up and that comes in and out, and I thought that was the problem, so I taped it so it had no movement at all, and as you can see it lines up. So apparently that's not the issue, it's a faulty digitizer, so I'll be mailing this back. I wish they wouldn't tape these closed. They're so delicate, you know. Sometimes you try to tear that with your hands, you can break the LCD. It's always good to use scissors. Now before I go preparing that, I need to clean up the phone, get all the old adhesive that I put in here out, put new stuff in. That could still be saved, some of the ones on the inside, but this outer rim, I need to put some more 3M double-sided down. Some of this I'm going to reuse. It still looks good. It's not gummy from the heat. The stuff that's gummy I'm taking out. Alright. Put the old one up. You can see that it easily comes out. that plugs in there. I think before I send it back, I'm going to plug it back in there. Now, it's back in there if you can tell. Of course. Anyway, this is distracting me. I need to get back to it. I'll deal with that later. There's a little light here that's blue that I don't want to cover, so I need to make sure to trim it really well in that area. There we go. All right. Now, a little tip. This little flat ribbon cable, you bend that up, it goes through the frame here. On this side it wraps around and plugs into the logic board. And since the ribbon cable is flat, it doesn't have a lot of play to go this way or that way. If you don't have it stuck down to the back of this glass perfect so that it goes through in the exact spot, it's very hard to get that plug to plug in to this connector here. And if it's off just a hair and you press down, you could bend the prongs, break the plastic, and have a major repair in your hands. You know, it's more micro soldering. So I don't like to stick this down. And I'll show you what I mean by that. The back of this pulls off and reveals stickiness all under this wax paper. But there's some wax paper that's trimmed to the shape of this here that you don't have to take off. So you have a little bit of movement when you're putting it together, and you need that thing to move to get that to fit. I'll show you what I mean when I get there. Well, let's get ready to close it up, put the screen on. one here. Let me get this off first. This way. There you go. So I'm going to leave this wax paper here. I'm going to trim this little piece off so that it's not hanging out of the phone. Stuff on my scissors. There. Alright, I believe we're ready to go together. It's always good to do a glance, make sure you don't have any wadded up, gummy, sticky glue anywhere that would keep it from getting flat. I don't believe I do, so I'm going to fish the screen through there. I'm going to place it first at the top, make sure that it's in there. There we go. I'll squeeze it, get it down on all that glue. Now let's put it back together.
Save today, save tomorrow. Book direct at TravelLodge.com. Get 15% off now at TravelLodge and then $3,000 points. That could put you at 60% off the next day at TravelLodge.
All right. It's a good idea to do this connector first, the one I was talking to you about. As you can see, it's not perfectly lined up, so I'm going to pull my magnifier. This is very important. That's why I'm stressing it. You can ruin a brand new screen really easily. And see, it doesn't line up just right. But since there's nothing else attached to the logic board, there's a little bit of play in its movement and a little bit of play in the connector I'm bending around to wrap on it.
No student's ever been king of the classroom on day one, but with the right gear from Office Depot Office Max, like a new Gen Sport backpack, a Dell 2-in-1 laptop, and stellar notebooks, your kid will be walking with varsity level swagger. That's that new gear feeling. Shop with our experts to get great savings on a wide selection of school gear. And right now, get a Swiss gear backpack for
It doesn't want to go on very easily, I tell you.
Gear up for school. Gear up for great. Supplies last at $7.25.
Okay, I had a customer walk in. It's time to test this. I've got my plug seated well, everything's back together except for the screws. I want to make sure it works. It's kind of hard to hit that button. Alright, well that's a good sign. Alright, see if the touchscreen works. It's good. Alright, so let's boot it down and put it all back together. Got to start with the screw that holds the logic board in. A little black one that looks different from all the others. Don't forget to put that in there. It's plugged in good. One last test. And if it's working well, then I'll let the client know he can come back and get it. Looks good. Alright, that's how you do a screen replacement on a Galaxy S4. Thanks for watching.